The playoffs are here, and you can predict the action all the way to the finals with FanDuel Predicts. Predict the spread, the total points, and even the game-winning moments that make the playoffs. Sign up and get a $25 bonus with FanDuel Predicts.
Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18-plus bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with their consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms.
In the squadron, they called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I, quite frankly, love doing it. I love doing it. And if you, some people say, well, that's boring. No, actually, it's enlightening. It's enlightening. And with that, we go right to the president in the cabinet room taking questions, and often they just take a 4-second soundbite, maybe an 8-second soundbite. We'll listen to the whole thing and the whole context, which reporters, they're atrocious at delivering. Go ahead.
They asked us, would we pause the war for a little while because they'd like to, so we'll do that. But we had them beat. They're, no better now. We could close it out very quickly. If we can do it in a different way, that'd be good. If we get everything we want, but we could close that out very, very quickly, and we may have to. I don't think so, but we may have to.
Mr. President, ask about the World Cup, if I could. The U.S. spent a lot of money getting the World Cup here and increasing the infrastructure. Does the economic benefit outweigh the cost?
No, the World Cup is great. It's the most successful they've ever had, ticket-wise. It's they've never had anything that sold so quickly. It's amazing because it's the United States. You don't think of
benefits?
I call it soccer. It's just easier to do because we have football and they have 2 footballs, right? They call it football. But most people never thought they'd see anything like that. The World Cup, it's turned out to be the most successful World Cup from the standpoint of what's happening than they've ever had. Yeah, please.
Thank you so much. Rowena Ortiz with Turning Point USA. I have one question for you and one question for Vice President J.D. Vance on fraud. What's your message to the New Jersey leaders pushing back against ICE operations at Delaney Hall?
About ICE?
Yes.
Or about NICE, as I call it, NICE. The NICE facility. I'd love to change the name, call it NICE. They do a great job, and it's all paid for protesters. You can see by the signs. The signs are all made by the same beautiful factory. It's a printing plant. In fact, I'm thinking about using it. They do such a nice job. These aren't protesters. These people are fake. They're all paid for. And I will tell you, Tom Holman and that whole group, and now Mark Wayne is so incredible. Mark Wayne, do you want to just respond to that?
Sure.
We run the finest facilities anywhere in the world of their type. But we have some horrible killers. We have killers. We have guys that have murdered numerous people in there. And these are the people they're trying to protect. There's nobody that runs a facility like we do. Mark Wade, please.
Yeah, it shows this radical left Democrats' priorities when they decide to go out and protest a detention center where we're housing rapists, child predators, murderers, drug dealers, and they choose Memorial Day of all the time to go protest something that they say that that it's because they're on a hunger strike when there was only a handful of individuals that was refusing to eat because they want their ethnic group or their ethnic right food. Well, they can go back to their country and get whatever food they want. The fact is, we're giving them the calories they want. This isn't Holiday Inn. We're giving them sanitation. But for the Democrats and the governor, like Governor Sherrill and Senator Kim and Senator Booker, to go out and do something like this of all the days is very frustrating. And we see Antifa signs are literally out there. The local police literally refusing to respond. They barricade it, not allowing our employees to come in and out. ICE has to go out there, remove the barricade, and then you have one of the senators complain because he got splattered with a pepper ball. I'm sorry, you probably shouldn't have been there.
One thing I'll say about that, the local police, I know a lot of the New Jersey police, they're phenomenal. They love us. But they're told not to do anything.
That's right.
They love us. They love him. They even love me a lot. And I'm in New Jersey a lot. It's great. I mean, I think it's a great place. It's got a group of people running it now that are having a hard time. But they really like this administration. They love this administration more than any administration they've ever had. and they're thanking me all the time. And you know, I see those guys going up and down the Jersey Turnpike with their big, beautiful hats on. I say, I'd like to look like that someday. You know, they're great. No, these are great people, and they love him, and they love ICE, and they love the Border Patrol, and they're not allowed to talk to anybody. It's like, but it all comes from the top. They have to follow orders. They want to keep their jobs.
Are you expecting Congress to pass a federal gas tax holiday?
A gas tax holiday?
Yeah, to suspend federal
Well,
gas
it's something we might talk about. Let's see what happens over the next week, 2 weeks. A lot of good things are happening.
So are you going to the Knicks game next week?
No, I was invited to I was going to go on Wednesday, but they closed it out very quickly. And Jim Dolan's a great guy. He's, as you know, owns and in charge of Madison Square Garden. He's having a good year. Boy, what a team. They win all their games. They have some great players. I think I'll be going to one of the games. Yeah, I was invited by numerous people and Jim. And I think I'll be going. It's great to see it. You know, the Knicks have really suffered for years. And they're doing right now.
Do you accept an agreement with Iran that just calls for further talks on the uranium, or is the only option in your mind one for?
I would for some of it, because it's a memorandum of understanding for speed. And one of the things that will happen is the Strait will open immediately, but it's got to be perfect. I'm not going to do this. I didn't do this to get a crummy agreement. The worst agreement ever signed was by Barack Hussein Obama. What a horrible agreement that was. It was a setback for this country, for the whole world. The Middle East would have blown itself up. No, I would like to have the countries we were talking about, with Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, and the others, we would like to have them immediately join and Steve Witkoff is working on that with Jared and some others, but would like to have them join the Abraham Accords. It'll be historic if they do it. And I think they owe that to us, to be honest. I think, because that really would be a tremendous sign. And I think those countries owe it to us. Steve, are you going to get them to sign?
We're definitely pushing it, Mr. President.
I'm not sure we should make the deal if they don't sign. You want to know the truth? If they don't sign to join the Abraham Accords, I don't know that we have countries in there already. UAE, great countries, bold countries, and it's turned out to be so good, so effective, and so we're requesting strongly that they join. It'll be great. It'll be great for Saudi Arabia. It'll be great for Qatar and Kuwait, the whole group.
So the Iran deal might be contingent on more countries joining the
I don't know. I don't want to say that. I'm not going to give you, what's contingent, what's not. I can say that we can make a good deal right now, but maybe not a great deal. And if it's not a great deal, we're not making it. Because we can make a great deal with this guy right here. And but it's it's a lot nastier. Probably wouldn't go as quickly. We wouldn't be talking about it as quickly, but it would be foolproof. But I think we're doing very well, Steve. I think we're doing pretty well in terms of the negotiation, but we'll see. If it's not going to be a real deal, because Obama had that horrible JCPOA, whatever it was the worst deal. It was a path for Iran to have a nuclear weapon very quickly. Years ago, they would have had a nuclear weapon. We might not be here talking about it right now. They would have had a nuclear weapon. And frankly, Obama picked the wrong country. He should have picked another country. I won't tell you what it was. But he picked the wrong country when he picked Iran. But we have things understood now with Iran. It's been nasty. They've lost their leaders. They've lost. And it really is regime change. We didn't set out for regime change. But by the fact that we're dealing with a totally different group of people than we were at the beginning. And frankly, I find them to be much more reasonable. I actually find them to be smarter, but I find them to be much more reasonable. This is regime change. One regime is gone, another regime is gone, we're dealing with the third. Pieces of it, because some of them are gone too. And I find them, I think, how can you have a stronger regime change than that, So I do find that. I'd like to thank you all very much. We're doing great. Our country is doing fantastically well, and this group of people is outstanding. Thank you all very much.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting, and I know there's the constant barrage of negative news that people are bathed in. Those who engage in the news, right? I mean, they're hopeless, right? People who really super duper follow the news, 95% of them are totally anti-Trump because that's where the coverage is. Now, there are others out there who just kind of casually pay attention. And, even if you're casually paying attention, this kind of rubs off. This is out there. It's sustained. I guess what concerns me a little bit, because it's always been negative information about President Trump, right? Fake information all the time, especially in election 2016, 2020, 2024, relentless. And for President Trump, you throw in 2021, 2022, 2023, and you could say, well, it doesn't work. The fake news doesn't work. Well, it's interesting. President Trump himself can overcome it. Nobody engages like that. Nobody can break through the filter like he can. And that's kind of a problem, that he's the only one who can do it. So you have these congressional candidates across the country. You have senatorial candidates. You have people running for governor. And it surprises me how few of them have learned from President Trump. They have figured out, a lot of them are kind of intimidated by him, and they shake their head at him, especially the politicians. Oh, the politicians are, a lot of them can't wait until he's gone. And I have a feeling like right when you think he's gone, like when he's an ex-president of the United States, which will happen someday, he just might even be more powerful. I'll have thoughts on that later. But here's just a bunch of, they just can't stand him. And whenever they have the opportunity, they stick it to him. You recognize any of these voices? This is over the $1.7 billion fund of weaponization. Cut 8, if you don't mind. Cut 8.
Under what circumstances would it ever make sense to provide restitution for people who were either pled guilty or were found guilty in a court of law?
We need more information on it.
I just don't know how this puppy dog will work.
I do not support the weaponization fund as it has been described.
The last one was Susan Collins. Who else was in there? Tom Tillis, even John Kennedy. A lot of these people feel very, very awkward, right? Oh, my goodness gracious. They could paint us as anti-law enforcement. After all those people were attacking cops. No, actually, they weren't. They weren't. And some people were fighting back against brutality. You have to factor that in. The police on January 6th, I'll never get over how they gave themselves bonuses and they gave themselves gold medals. And Congress is right there with them. These guys are kind of like, and what's the word? They're kind of like sissies, all right? They're kind of, is that, can we say sissy anymore? They're just not, none of them have ever driven a truck, you know what I mean? Or they just don't know what the real world is like. And not that I've driven a truck, but you know what I mean, right? I've done other things. That's just the most convenient example. A truck. They just don't know. Oh, Joe Biden rode a truck. Remember that? He was a truck driver. I was a truck driver. He showed up at a industry photo op. I want to show you this. This is what they do. The illusion of January 6th. There's this guy, this one cop who let everybody inside. I don't know why they call him a hero, but boy, oh boy. Cut 11, please. Cut 11.
U.S. Capitol Police Officer Eugene Goodman has been hailed as a hero for leading the insurrectionists that stormed the U.S. Capitol away from the Senate chamber.
Because of his quick thinking, because of his training, and because of his personal bravery, deflected the movement of this angry mob.
Eugene Goodman was one of the many Capitol Police who were on the right side of history last week.
We know that the incredible American hero, Eugene Goodman, all of these police officers were heroes. But the fact that he saved Mitt Romney's life.
Did you know Mitt Romney came? What? Mitt Romney didn't almost lose his life. This is so offensive to me. I watched the tape of Eugene Goodman. What did Eugene Goodman actually do? Not much. Cut 10, please. Cut 10. That's it. That's it. He used no force when force was required. You're allowed to push people. You're allowed to take out your baton. You're allowed to. But interestingly, he led him right outside the Senate chamber. That was fake news in there. Fake news. Now, of course, he's a great-looking guy. Very cute and cuddly, right? That's half of why they made him a hero. It's never about the substance with these people. It's always about the superficial and the hidden agenda. If you're heading into summer without a medical emergency kit, you're taking a risk. Most people do not think about it until it's too late. Summer colds linger and can turn into sinus infections that last for weeks. Getting sick right before vacation can derail everything. And when you're traveling, finding a doctor and pharmacy is stressful, and that's why I ordered a medical emergency kit. It's like having urgent care in a pharmacy right at home. It includes essential prescriptions like amoxicillin, generic Z-Pak to help a wide range of common and serious illnesses. So if you wake up sick, at home or on the road, you already have what you need. Okay? No waiting for your doctor, no hours at urgent care, no pharmacy lines, no copays. Just match your symptoms to the right prescription in your guidebook or call their telemedicine doctor standing by. Start on your meds sooner and feel better faster. Every home needs at least one medical emergency kit. Order yours online in minutes and it's shipped to your door. And save $45 off with my promo code Greg at urgentcarekit.com/Greg. That's promo code Greg at urgentcarekit.com/Greg.
Greg Kelly
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, 800-848-9222, 800-848-9222. The fake news has already started. President Trump declares he does not even care about the midterms. All right? That's just like declaring that he doesn't care about the financial conditions of America, right? They just take it out of context, you know. And this is the kind of thing that used to be applauded. You got to do what's right for the country, and then you let the politics, you know, you hope the people approve. But at some point, you got to lead. You actually just have to lead. And that's not the way things work in Washington. And it's one of the reasons why President Trump doesn't fit in. Okay, doesn't fit in the best possible way. You know who does fit in? John Thune. Now, John Thune knows how to play the game. Okay, now we're all kind of aware of it now. But so John Thune is asked, actually, about the January 6ers fund. The way he answers it is really something else, right? You know, a denial. He doesn't want to. They're just game players. Pass the SAVE Act, okay? And now he's brokenhearted that his friend John Cornyn isn't going to be a buddy in the U.S. Senate. Well, Ken Paxton again. Good for you. Gavin Newsom, watch out. I haven't forgotten about you. Oh, and Bill Stevenson tonight.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Do you support that, pardoning people who attacked police officers who stormed the Capitol that day?
Well, I mean, as we've discovered under the Biden administration, the pardon authority is a very broad one. I mean, he's taken it to a whole new level. That's ultimately going to be a decision that President Trump is going to have to make. And, you know, what I'm focused on is the future. And not looking in the rearview mirror, but looking at the windshield and what we have to do.
Thank you, John. Wow. Profile and courage there. Sounds like leadership. Well, that'll be up to the president. I'll be working feverishly behind the scenes to disrupt the president's agenda, you know, but that'll be up to the president. It's very dishonest. It's very misleading. And it's very, very Washington. It's very, very swampy. John Thune. Now, that man, who knows? Do you trust him? You know, he has an egg on his face, major egg on his face after John Cornyn loses that primary to Ken Paxton. All-around great guy, Ken Paxton. And he really is. But Thune and McConnell and the rest, Mitch McConnell, he's really upset about January 6th. To this day, he doesn't see how anybody could get any money for their prosecution and persecution. Cut 9, please. And by the way, when Mitch is talking, John Thune is right over his shoulder. Cut 9. No,
we're here.
Yeah, go ahead.
We saw what happened. It was a violent insurrection for the purpose of trying to prevent the peaceful transfer of power after a legitimately certified election.
No. tells me that Mitch was in on it. Other than, again, he's pretty out of it at this point. Very out of it. So it's hard to say for sure. But look, I am just going to embrace the positive, which is all around us. I turned on the Today Show, hyperventilating about gas prices. I mean, hyperventilating. And, that traffic was off, Memorial Day, although they were hyping Memorial Day, right? Because they have all their little special features and people come on and pay money so they can talk about, their hotels or their restaurants or their tourist attractions, right? And they want people going. But then right after, it's right back to beating up on Trump. And this, 4 years ago, it was all January 6th. A year and a half later, January 6th stuff. So it's fake news. It surrounds us, and you have to distance. You have to create some distance and also skepticism. You guys know this, but hey, one other thing, and this has kind of become a passion project of mine. My book review of Gavin Newsom. I'm sorry, but I found out some more stuff when I'm reading it. I reread it, actually, because I'm making a huge, it's like 10,000 words. It's in 2 separate parts. My great big Gavin Newsom takedown essay. Now, listen to this. Whenever he's on the book tour, it's an applause line. He starts talking about how much he loves his mom and how much, we owe single mothers. And who's going to boo at that? No, it sounds good. It's almost like, you'll hear though, it's almost like Jeb Bush, please clap, right? Because the audience, I think, on some level knows that they're being taken advantage of. Cut 12, if you don't mind. Cut 12, Gavin Newsom on his book tour.
I never understood why my father left. I never understood my mom's relationship to her father, who took his life, who was a prisoner of war, a corregidor, who put a gun to her head when she was very young, threatening to kill her in a fit of rage of alcoholism. Again, eventually taking his own life. I never understood that connection. I never understood how that shaped her and how that shaped me and who I am today. Single mom, working 2, 3, sometimes 4 jobs. And by the way, I describe them in detail, that none of that is exaggerated. Single moms, just single moms. Oh my, single moms. Not all the single moms out here. And so in many ways, this became a love letter to her. The things I can never say to her because she's not around. She never met my kids.
You could never say those things to her. He must have not heard about the custom known as Mother's Day. A love letter to his mother. It's not a love letter to his mother, not at all. But he's got this indignation thing down. Now, I'm trying to think of who was the most indignant person? AOC is pretty good at being indignant. Right? Indignant. What do we mean by indignant? It means almost being fake angry, right? I am so appalled by that. Let's see here. He's on the Mark Halperin Show, cut 13. This is Gavin Newsom at his most indignant.
My mom worked 2 or 3 jobs her entire life. And I know that offends folks that just think I'm trying to sanitize. But you know what? With all due respect to those guys on Fox and everywhere else that want to just bury folks because they disagree with them. My mother deserves more grace. And I'm going to give her that dignity to talk about her life and her struggles, where she did work 2 or 3 jobs her whole life.
No, the thing is, though, here's the secret. He doesn't like his mom. It's right there in the book. He takes cheap shots at her over big things and little things. All this book is regarding his mom is a list of her deficiencies and his grievances with the mother. At one point, he actually says, I know what I've said about my mom is cruel. It's incredible what this guy put down on paper. It's incredible that the governor, a sitting governor of such a big state, can go out there and say this book is one thing when it's really not, and nobody notices. It says a lot about Gavin Newsom, but it also says a lot about our culture. Because he's an important person and the book has already been promoted and it's already been praised. So the narrative, that word narrative, I hate that narrative. I hate that word narrative because everything becomes a story, with a beginning, a middle, and an end, and a hero and somebody who's not the hero and the protagonist and the antagonist, right? But sometimes things don't fit into a narrative. We used to not use that word as much. I know what it is, as it applies to literature, but it doesn't necessarily apply to life. As Homer Simpson said, You know, sometimes a bunch of stuff just happens. And one of those things happening is Gavin Newsom taking nasty, continued swipes at his mom in this book. Cut 14, please. This is Gavin Newsom reading his own book. Cut 14.
I'd scream and yell to get my mother's attention, and she'd do her best to ignore me, often with the aid of a few glasses of cheap wine.
Cheap wine. Not only wine, but cheap wine. Wow, you know, Gavin Newsom he's a connoisseur when it comes to wine. You know, right? That stupid restaurant he's got, Plump Jack. He acts like he's, Nathan of Nathan's Hot Dogs, some sort of heroic entrepreneur. His best friend was Getty, John Getty, the son of, J.P. Walter Getty, whatever the hell. He hung out with the richest family in the world. Cut 15, please. More of the mom giving Gavin a hard time.
My mother tried to help me with my homework, but each day was a hustle for her. She didn't know what to make of my dyslexia. And by the time she arrived home from work, she was exhausted.
Wow. So she was no help with the homework? She was exhausted? I don't like the way he says the word hustle about his mother. You know what I mean? And you heard earlier, she worked 2, 3, 4 jobs. I actually looked that up. That's not true. Okay? It's not true. It's not true. He's looking for, I don't know, man. This man can't be president, folks. You can't have a guy this discombobulated. What else do we got here? Cut 16, please. Here he is again, ripping on his mom. Cut 16.
My mother did not possess the language to delve into the complications and tragedies of her parents and grandparents, much less convey the story to me and my sister Hillary.
Lacked the language. What else here? And by the way, this is not like selective quoting. There's not another like portion of this book where he's just heaping praise on her. It's not. He says he loves her, but it's almost like if he calls this a love letter, the only thing that makes it a love letter would be writing at the end. Like you could write a nasty letter to somebody and write love. I could write love, Greg. Dear Joe, you are a jerk and a stupid head and a menace to society and a menace to me. Now get out. Love, Greg. And Jackie Gleason. Cut 17, please.
When it came to her past, my mother was almost completely mute. There was no use probing her.
No use. My mother was such a simpleton. She was clueless. He uses that word too. This is how much he hates the mother. All right? So he goes out of his way to track down from Chico State University, a college that his mother attended for 1 year. 1 year, and went and tracked down the roommate from like the early 1960s. And he sits down with her and has a whole big interview. And she says, your mother was an odd duck who was clueless about everything. And then she tells the most absolutely incredible. By incredible, I mean it can't have happened that way. And Gavin shouldn't have written it. He says his grandmother slept not on a mattress, not on a box spring, but on wood planks. This is the story that the college roommate tells Gavin Newsom 50 years later, and he writes it in the book. What's the matter with this guy? And here he is with the wine again. Cut 18.
But I don't recall crueler words ever said about me. I stayed silent, and she went back into her room and shut the door. I could hear her pour a drink from her Safeway jug of wine.
Oh, what a pathetic woman. A Safeway jug of wine. How can you drink from Safeway? That's another detail that might be a little bit off because I couldn't help myself. I looked it up. Safeway didn't start selling wine until Gavin was out of high school. And that's just the kind, I mean, like, wait a second. Why is he doing this? There's something up. And the other thing I got to show you guys, okay? Because he sums up the entire message about his mother. Now, I know that this is hot stuff. I know that the Democrats are going to find this stuff that I write, that I document, and it will be the end of his political career. Maybe not obviously, but they're going to come and get him. Just like they went to come and get, what was that guy's name? Eric Swalwell, right? They vaporized him. They vaporized people. They vaporized Andrew Cuomo. They vaporized Joe Biden. And next, they will vaporize this guy. Trust me on that. Let's see here. Where do we have this? Yeah. So He's writing at the end of the chapter, I could see now that her sad and stunted upbringing on Stanyan Street was all the preparation she had for her life ahead. She could not fill out what was missing in herself, much less what was missing in my father. They were woefully unprepared to share a life of marriage, children, and work. Let's see here. And then he says, his father was a fool to have married such a young girl and a fool to have introduced her to the volatility of politics. But listen to this. The father never would have wanted. The father's dead, the mother's dead. He writes this. Where my father, the storyteller, never ventures is the terrain of that garden and wood house and roaring fireplace on Stanyan Street. He would not have wanted to paint for posterity such a portrait of Tessa and her parents. This is what he's acknowledging, what he just wrote, okay? So the story he left to me and Hillary was not even half painted, a canvas almost entirely blank. I must say that there is something painful and cruel in the clear-sightedness I now own, the piece of canvas I have painted. It's cruel, and he knows it. He's got mommy issues. You know, you can have mommy issues, but if you go around saying to everybody you don't have mommy issues, you loved your mother, and I find evidence that you didn't love your mother, that there's some sort of weird hang-up you have, well, you're not being honest with anybody. Explaining the mystery of my mother all these years later allows me to understand and love her even more. All right, there's his little cat, there's his little escape hatch, right? But it's too late. This is like the, Mom, you're a bitch. Love your son. And yet I am unable to act on that love in the time that it mattered. I am unable to reach back with what I know to be true and ease the pain of her living. Knowledge too late for anything but knowledge. This is the incapacity I am left with. Who the hell sits around and stares at their navel all day long like this guy? Who does that? Who can do that? Who has the luxury? Nobody. People are working. He's supposed to be working. He writes also how he gets bored of his jobs. He got bored of being the mayor of San Francisco. He got bored of being the lieutenant governor of California. He's bored of being the governor of California. I guess he's got ADD in addition to the dyslexia. It's not amusing enough. You know who needs to be amused constantly, Gavin? Children. That's why we erect little things in their crib, right? Mobiles and stuff like that, so they're engaged all the time, right? You need something visual because of the dyslexia? To Mrs. Newsom, I am sorry. Your son let you down, all right? And I don't think he can, but I hope he owes an apology. Not only to her, by the way, to everybody who picked up this stupid book. All right? Me especially. Be right back.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Okay, putting the finishing touches on my significant piece about Bill Stevenson and all the conflict of interest that surrounds that case. Bill's in trouble, and I think he needs my help, and I'm trying to help. I'm doing everything I can, and if you can think of anything, let me know. That thing should be online a little bit later tonight. It's called Greg Kelly's Substack. I already read you a big chunk of it yesterday. Basically, the judge in the case is married to a good friend of Joe Biden's. Okay, it's crazy. A guy who was the U.S. attorney, a guy who is actually seen as Joe Biden's partner in law enforcement. You can't have that judge doing this thing. What else? His own defense attorney is totally conflicted. His wife works for Governor Myers, and Governor Myers is another fantastically close person with Joe Biden. It's just insane what's happening. All right, Cindy, hello. How are you?
Hi, Greg. Thanks so much for doing a deep dive into all the biographies that you've been sharing with us, so we don't have to. Regarding Newsom, does he by any chance mention his marriage to Kimberly Guilfoyle?
Does he? What about? Does he talk about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He does. He does talk about that. He said, he liked her. And, loved her, but she needed to be the center of attention. she took a job in New York. He was still working in San Francisco, and they grew apart. He's very flattering of the father of Kimberly, Mr. Guilfoyle. He's very nice to the father. He's not mean to Kimberly, but I have seen him take shots at her during the book tour, and that plays to the audience because the audience wants to hear that. They set him up. They actually set it up yeah, she's a crazy person, right? And they're and he's like, yeah. I mean, so yeah, she's in the book, and he's, I would say neutral to nice on her. But other stuff is, the mother, I think, is just outrageous, what he just said. Did you hear what I just reported about that?
Yes. And Bill Stevenson, please. That is such an important thing. I can't wait to read your whole Substack on that. There's something fishy about that. Definitely.
Big time. Well, I'm on the case, and thank you. And so is my friend, and I'm going to tell you who it is, who I've been working with on this thing, Garrett Ziegler. Garrett Ziegler is from the Marco Polo Project. He's done amazing research with the Biden laptop and all that stuff, and he's just a real public advocate in the best sense of the words. So thank you for that. I'm working with him, and he's going to be appearing on this show in just a little while. Peter, you're in New Jersey. Hello.
Hello, Greg. How are you?
Good.
Say, this dirty rat is trying to portray his life as a child worse than J.D. Vance. That's what he's doing. That's exactly what he's doing for this election coming up. He's trying to make it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, the J.D. Vance thing. Well, he wants to show that he is like a regular guy, but he's not regular, and it's very strange. And I'll tell you something. This is also something I'm trying to figure out how to put this into words. So the book is really emphasizing that half of his life was spent in very working class conditions, right? Because his mom was single and that kind of thing. But then at the same time, he talks about how gifted his lineage, all of his ancestors were, what prestigious jobs they had, how important they were. He must mention the place Stanford University 57 times in the entire book. Stanford. Everybody in his family went to Stanford. He talks about Stanford more than he talks about his own college, Santa Clara University. It's just a very strange thing. So I'm with you. He's trying to possibly play the poverty card, right, insincerely. And he doesn't claim outright poverty, but he says it was challenged. But the funny thing is about an imposter, he wants, you see, at one point he says, oh, they called me the Pampered Prince, and I really didn't like that. No, he liked it. He liked it. He liked it very much. It's a fascinating... Anyway, I think you may be right about that J.D. Vance angle. But the problem is J.D. Vance wrote a quality book, a real book. It looks like Gavin Newsom shoved this thing into AI and out came this. It's a disaster. Thank you, sir. To be continued.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?